Tell me about it. What did you experience? What was it like? Start with what you said.
It was hard to do it all at the same time.
How many of you found it was hard to do it all at the same time? Oh, a couple people. All right. Yeah, sometimes it is. And by expecting that you can do a lot versus a little, it forces the unconscious to come up with a strategy and to model what I was doing. So it makes it's better for me to assign too much than too little. The next trick is, often I've heard Bandler and Grinder not only assign too much, but give varying directions as to what's supposed to actually take place. They'll repeat the exercise a couple of times, each time using a different direction. And when the people sit there confused as to which way to go, what to do, and they're trying to ask questions, he goes, "No more questions, do it now." They're like, "Okay," you know. And what he's doing is forcing them to come up with a strategy inside that they can deal with, which is interesting. Either that or he's just spacey. I haven't figured out which, but no. Partly so. It's so funny how some people read in, like Bandler will swing his feet and stuff when he's talking, or tap. You know, he'll tap sometimes, and people think that he's doing something. It's like, it just cracks me up every time because you know, of course, now he'll look at anyone who heard this tape and go, "I am." He'll have to wonder what. Okay, what else about this? Tell me what else the transmitters. Yes, John.
Fortunately for me, I was able to get Geraldo to create a genius in me. And as a result...
Bring out that which was already there, you mean?
Exactly. Good point. And so as a result, I got an opportunity to work with both John and Geraldo. Geraldo without my being aware of it. And I performed so much better than what I consciously felt that I would have performed.
Good.
Simply because...
Because you're a genius.
Right. And...
Should have make you a fucking genius.
I think I did a great job with John. And I did a really, intermittently good job with Geraldo. Because my acuity was watching both of them, and I wasn't even aware of the fact, because we were like a threesome here.
Well, there's lots I could comment on that, but I won't. So we'll move on. Good job.
Thanks.
Yes.
It's a little bit of a struggle to keep up the pattern, and I'm wondering what, in fact, I jeopardize when I do pause during a period of time without doing it like you instructed.
If you're going to pause for a length of time, give the suggestion that it's appropriate while you may remain silent for a moment to go ahead and continue the processing. And that's all I have to say. And then just keep quiet for a minute. No, that doesn't jeopardize anything at that point.
And if I don't, in fact, or if I'm stumbling a little bit...
Then say that anyway next time.
Okay.
Just say, and you keep on processing this information, carrying out my suggestions consciously and unconsciously while I'm silent for a moment.
Well, he did a very good job. This was the first time Dave did this, and he did an excellent job in my feeling relaxed. He also wanted to know if I felt change in my request. And I think there's too many belief systems involved with that.
Right. That's okay.
I felt like I went into a trance.
Good. You're asking for probably too much then, too, if there's too many belief systems at play. So ask for something little.
Yeah.
Because, see, the idea is let's just make ourselves really positive and open to the learning instead of trying to actually go inside and fix something, which will make you more confident, too, of the person doing the work. Rob?
I was really pleasantly surprised at how easy I could do this. Now,
Are you all trying to put me in a trance or what? You're all using hypnotic language patterns to tell me about what you're doing. I'm like, huh? Yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm sorry, what do you want me to comment on this or just...
Because in the last class, in the last class I was finding it somewhat difficult, and what made it easy for me was that I kept thinking of, okay, embedded command, what's my outcome? Spring another command, and it just would come out.
Great. That's the power of outcomes. Good job. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, when Randall told me what he wanted to do, I sensed that he really meant what he wanted to do, and it was like all of a sudden, in me, it's like I really want to give to him. This is like everything else is gone. Randall, and I would.
Randall,
I felt really
it's good to work with a woman who really wants to give you what you want.
She's great.
You'll be amazed. May have a profound impact.
I don't know.
The camera missed that. He goes, I don't know. No, not that. He's talking about a preference that is.
No, it was.
I'm trying to influence him.
I realized when he told me something when I was doing this with him, I represented it to him as a picture, and when he gets in that state, is very kinesthetic. And what I should have done, what I learned that was good, is that if I said to him, it might be something that you see, or something that you feel, or something that you hear,
or as you experience that.
As you experience. See, I didn't give him a whole lot of outs, but he's flexible still.
Right. And by the way, see, another nice thing you'll find is it's like these tests. You know, like there's this test for locking your hands together to see if you're susceptible to hypnosis. Okay. Well, one of the things about that is, first of all, let's all do this real quick. Put your hands. Okay. First of all, put them like this. Okay. Now push them together, and keep your elbows out. Okay. And now push so the palms are being pushed. And then tighten the fingers as well. Okay? Now, close your eyes as you do that. But first, open your eyes for a minute. But imagine that someone has a vise that they're tightening on either side of your hands. They're tightening and tightening. Now, close your eyes and imagine this vise is being tightened and tightened and tightened. You can feel it pushing, so that pretty soon the pressure in your hands is not your own at all, but it's from the vise. And as it's tighter and tighter and tighter, now in your mind, imagine the vise is so tight you cannot get your hands apart. You try, but it doesn't work because the vise is pushing tighter and tighter and tighter. The harder you try, the tighter your hands stick together. Okay, now imagine the vise is released and you can release your hands now whenever you want. Now, for those of you that didn't release your hands, you probably thought to yourself, well, I could if I wanted to. I know there's no real vise there. But it just feels like they should stay locked. It just seems like they should stay together. I mean, it makes sense they're together because if the vise was really there, they'd be together. But I could open them if I wanted to, because I know there's no robot. You get this kind of conversation. Any of you have that kind of conversation going in your head? Okay. Bill, what'd you experience? I mean, Brett, what'd you experience?
Just what you're talking about, yeah.
Okay. John?
Nothing.
They come apart?
No, but I didn't experience any dialogue.
That's right, because you're used to doing exactly as I tell you in an altered state, and I appreciate my unconscious. Thanks, you're unconscious, or not, is the case may be. What was it like for you, Joe?
It didn't work on me.
Okay, good.
I mean, I felt the gripping, but when you said release it, it was pretty easy.
Yeah. All right. So, see, it's a trick, sort of, right? It's like you're playing a trick. Of course, you know, can I get my hands apart? Of course I can get my hands apart. Do I want my hands apart? Well, no, because you just suggested I don't want to, so I guess I want them together.
Mesmerizing or something?
Okay, the true mesmerization, okay, from Franz Anton Mesmer, was about the use of magnetism, is what it really was. And what he believed to be a subtle flow of magnetic fluid around all living things. And what he would do is he'd make passes over a person's body. So he would go, I can't use you, so you can't experience this. So he would actually take magnets in his hand, and he would make passes over a person's body like this, okay? And one day he went to visit the Queen or somebody, or, you know, that had a headache, and he didn't have his magnets with him. So he faked it and found out it worked just as well as when he had his magnets. So it was really suggestion in part. But I will tell you, if you'll stand next to someone and go like this with consciousness, you know, as you intend that this lowers your energy and will close your eyes and the person go out, they will. You'll really feel it. And vice versa, if you go like this, you'll raise their energy and you'll bring them back out. The very first instruction I ever had in hypnosis was a guy that tried to teach me about that by demonstrating it. And it worked. It blew me away. I had no idea what was happening. And there is something about altering energy by doing that. And if you want to really see it done a hog wild, go to one of the Whole Life Expos and watch these crazy people with the wands, you know, swirling the wands all over, you know, they're like, and they're wearing pyramid hats usually and all this kind of weird stuff. But anyway, but it does have an impact. It does have an effect. I mean, you'll feel it. You'll actually feel energy moving in your body and around you. You'll feel it, like.
Spin a stick around me, I'd feel it.
Yeah. So.
They're called numb.
Yeah, nunchuck spinning around you. So the idea is that what we're doing isn't exactly mesmerism. It's a suggestion to see if they'll rapidly take the suggestion. Joe, come up here. Since he didn't take that one, we'll see if he's more. We'll see if he's more physically suggestible. Okay. So for purposes of the camera, let me just have you turn with your back. Can we see this pretty well? Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to test to see if. Shh. Well, one of us teaching this class. So we'll. By the way, this is where I learned this new one. You see? Okay. But what we're going to do is we're going to see if he's suggestible based on. It's actually a language pattern, but it feels physical. So we're going to do is say, Joe, okay, now look, my hands are magnetic. Okay. I need to brace yourself first, right? My hands are magnetic, Joe, and they exert a pull on your back. Okay. And if I were to release my hands, you would find yourself just leaning back naturally to touch them. Now, I'm not going to let you fall, nor will I let you be afraid or anything else, okay? But I want you to just notice how as I start... That's right, very good. Now, as I just start to release my hands, you start to pull right back into them. Okay, that's very suggestible, like on a kinesthetic level. So, good, excellent. All right, now this time you'll note that if my hands come very far away at all, it's like you feel just compelled to just fall right back into them and just relax all the way into a trance right now. Close your eyes. As I turn you around and sit you on the table, you'll find that you just go deeper and deeper asleep. Take a step and sit down into a trance comfortably. And as you do that, I'm going to take the hand and I'm going to leave it right there. That's right, excellent. Then as the hand begins to move down with true unconscious movement, ever so slowly, even slower, much slower. That's right. You can begin to go so deeply that you begin to dream a dream. A dream in which it becomes so real, it changes your life. A dream startling. A dream that helps you to utilize these patterns of persuasion in your everyday life, to make them fluent and a part of you even more than they ever thought possible in the past. As the arm goes down with each tiny little movement it makes down, each of these suggestions are drilled deeper and deeper into your unconscious, right to the level in which they have the impact that you really want them to have. You find yourself perhaps reviewing rapidly everything you learned in this class. And as the arm moves on down, you find yourself reviewing it again, all the information. And when the hand comes to rest on the knee, you'll find yourself so much more capable to use these patterns than ever before. So much more able to use them with skill and dexterity. So excited about using them with strength and power that you can't wait to begin writing more sentences that are perfectly oriented and suited to meet your needs and the needs of those around you. That's right. Excellent. And you may choose to remember to forget to remember this dream while acting on the power and the strength of what it taught you. Or you may find that your conscious mind simply was startled by something unique and physical while your unconscious mind carried out all the instructions unbeknownst to your conscious mind. That's right. When it comes to rest, it'll relax and you'll come back out of trance, being wide awake, carrying out all that you were suggested. Right? That was an example of using a physical, more or less a physical suggestion for trance. Stay up here for a minute here, Joe. In which literally that was using a test, a hypnotic test. But most people, they would have stopped then before they got into the real hypnosis. That's the way that you're trained to do. I was like, okay, now we see that you're suggestible to this, so why don't you go ahead and sit down here and let's begin the trance. Instead of I just knock them right out while I'm doing it. Why not? Now, he was out on his feet, man. I mean, big time.
Was it the presupposition about the...
It was everything. Language pattern. It was that I was massaging him. It was I was pulling him backwards as well.
Hey, I went when you said choose to remember to forget. Boy, I mean, I went way deep on that sentence.
Didn't you?
I just went into this tunnel almost.
Yeah.
It was really strange.
Now, if I wanted to reinduce trance again, watch this. Watch this. Close your eyes for a moment, and I want you to tell me about that tunnel, as if you were there again.
It was a hum and a blur rushing by, and I was falling through this blur, and I could feel the hum.
And how were you sitting right then? Show me.
Let's see, I think I had my hand
That's right.
here, and it seemed like my knee was very far
Yeah.
away. It seemed like I was
So
dissociating.
be quiet and just listen. Hear the rush. Feel the fall. Very good. Now this time I want you to come back with even more energy and more excitement. I want you to hear a tone in your voice, in your head, like, mmm. Yeah. Now, see, by asking someone to relive or to tell you about a previous trance state, you'll take them right back. I mean, they'll go right into it. How long did that take? 15 seconds? 20 seconds. It's like, okay, shut up now and just do it. And that's about what happens. Okay, that was an example, though, of using more or less a physical kind of a suggestion with a test. You know, it's like I just tested physically to see how he would do it, and as he kept falling back, complete trust. By the way, when they break that point where if you weren't there, they'd fall down, the test is over at that point. In other words, you've got them real strongly. Okay? And so then I just said, now this time as you come back, you'll find yourself dropping all the way into a trance. Well, they're already following the suggestion of falling back. Why wouldn't they go into a trance next? And what language pattern does that make use of?
Cause and effect.
Yes, cause and effect. Well, anyone have any questions for him? Wonder what it felt like, what it was like?
Yeah, what was your experience?
I still feel
awareness?
like I'm in it.
You are.
I probably am.
Specifically, your awareness about the external, the rest of us here, and
I had no awareness of you guys at all. Although I did not feel like this. I didn't feel like I was in a quote classical trance that I had pictured what a trance would be. You know, total.
Trust us, you were.
Yeah, more Baroque.
Yeah, more Baroque.
It's Neo.
Yeah.
Very concentrating on his voice. I did feel the physicalness of it. Like I said, when I had my hand out here, I knew that the hand was out here. It felt like I had dissociated myself from my body. It felt like my knee was like over there someplace. I mean, it felt like I could move my hand clear over there without touching my knee. It felt like there was like a mile between here and here.
Dissociation.
How'd that movement feel in your arm? Were you aware of it? Or?
I was aware that I was moving too fast. He told me to slow it down.
Why did I do that?
Unconscious.
Because his conscious was controlling it until I got it to slow down, and then his unconscious took over and
It
did
felt
it.
like
And how do you know? Because the unconscious lowers it. It doesn't know how to lower it smoothly. It lowers it jerkily.
That was the click that I was feeling. It was like, but it was so minute, but I could feel this little click.
What did it feel like when you just picked your arm up?
I don't remember that part.
Well, now, when you first went up there, he was just going to give you another test. When did you realize he was doing something else? I mean, because it was like, I was surprised because he's going, yeah, you're going to do this. All right, go into trance now. Plop.
When I went into the final test is where I knew that I was, because I mean, I felt this veil, or almost this numbness. This numbness hit me.
Numbness. You're hearing all the classical signs of trance being discussed. Numbness, association, long distances, being able to move it down, amnesia, I don't remember. You're hearing all the classical.
Lifting my hand.
And I also, when I lifted it, I created catalepsy. Thank you. I made his arm hold itself out. And by the way, it's so easy to do that. Okay, you just take someone's arm and you just say, "No, I'm just going to leave it right here. Leave it there." Thank you. Okay, that's all you have to do. Literally, you just take someone's arm. Say, "I'm just going to leave it right here." And what you do is I jiggle it so that it wants to just stay. Put your arm down. Okay, now watch. I'm going to take your arm, and I want to just leave it right here. That's right. And then I also am unprecise about when I let go. She's not quite sure when I actually let go of her hand. Okay? And I'll do it with each of you so you can feel that. It's a real skilled touch you need to gain. It's real easy, too. Okay?
And that's important to not let them know when you're going to let them go.
It confuses them, and so they have a tendency to just lock it in space because they don't quite sure what you want. Yeah.
So if you were to do that for a long session, would his arm get tired?
I wouldn't leave it up for a long session. It's very painful, and I've had people do that to me, and it pissed me off when I was done. Even though they say that, well, we'll block your feeling for it and everything. Yeah, right. Afterwards, my arm felt like it hurt, it had been way overtaxed, and I don't do that. I make it come down. Because the whole point is, what was the point of it? To link suggestions to it, right? To give a physical link to the suggestions. That's all the point. This is some good stuff, guys. I'm excited about this. Any more questions for Joe while he's up here?
You didn't know if he was going to do an induction when he asked you about this thing?
About what thing?
About standing. Never mind.
Well,
about standing there and leaning back and.
Well, I kind of assumed if I was going to be up here, that I was going to be
Inducted.
It was inducted into something. I felt when I had my hand up here, when he first put the hand up there, I felt like, oh yeah, right.
But your face is already changed.
Then when he jiggled it, I realized, So that was really interesting because I guess I did give some blockage to it.
And by the way, that blockage is normal. And what it is a kind of a sense of like, well, wait a minute, I'm in control here. I'm in control here, and I could stop this if I want to. There's a little bit of that sometimes, and that's okay. If I see the person doing that at all, like I see any resistance, I say, and that's okay, because it's important to know that you're in control at all times. You know, and it's great that you've chosen to cooperate here today to really make some changes happen. And I'd like to ask your unconscious to continue to do that, so that as we work together and you make the changes you want, you'll feel thrilled for our time spent together. Okay.
Now, could you, like for a longer time, you instead of having him come up when his hand touches his leg, have him go into a deeper trance?
He did.
His hand touches the leg.
He did. He zoned out much further as a result.
Oh, I thought that was when he started to come back out.
Not yet. He went there further, and then I suggested that he come back. Yeah, and then he did. He still wasn't all the way back by any stretch of the imagination, though. He's still probably not. He's still zoned out. Okay, does that help? What you're seeing demonstrated? Okay. How are we doing, guys?
If a person isn't all the way back, isn't it important that you, especially if they're going to have to drive away?
No.
It isn't?
No, I mean, you know, I always tell them, if they're all the way back, give them a suggestion that they'll do what it takes to maintain safety and operate their car properly, and you know they'll come all the way back by the time they sit in the car and turn it on to totally be alert and awake and aware of traffic, and that's all you have to do.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
just feel like I took a ball game or something.
Yeah, well, it also opens one up and makes you talk, doesn't it? Okay, so what do you think? You want to take lunch now, or are we? You want to do another? Do you want to try a quick trance yourselves?
Try.
Well, I mean, you know, you want me to quit talking so you can just do it.
What a relief.
Hey, I'm always dealing with people like you. Yeah, not like that either. Definitely not like that. I don't think that way either. All right, so do you want to do the Dennis now? Do you want to do the same kind of thing I just did with Joe? You want to try that? All right, let's just do that one. So that would be, we're going to just write that one in. We're going to call it a leverage test induction. We're going to leverage a test using kinesthetic suggestions, basically. Now this one's fast, real fast. Don't take time. Make sure the person is standing right in front of the chair they're going to sit in when you do this. Okay, so you're going to have them lean back. Make sure a chair is right behind you so you can move out of the way and say, okay, just go ahead and take a step back and sit down. Make sure you guide them to the chair. I don't want anyone falling on the floor.
Could you review it again, the steps when they were standing and squeezing?
Sure. Come up here.
I had to ask.
Yeah, take off the jacket because that prevents you from going into a trance on this exercise.
Speak up again.
All right, so now watch. I'm going to have a chair behind me, right? That's how this is going to work. And I know that what I'm going to do is, you're only going to miss something real important if you go. And what I do is I say, okay, now, I just massage them. I think it feels good anyway, you know. So it's like a Tony Robbins thing, you know. Let's all stand up, massage everybody. All right, so you know, I'm going, okay, so now we're going to do this test. So now he's kind of loosened up anyway, right? And I say, okay, now my hands have a magnetic influence. Now all I want you to do is I want you just to find that you're going to go ahead and lean back against my hands if they try to remove themselves from your body. So the minute my hands start to come up, you're just going to go ahead and try to maintain contact with them by leaning back. Excellent, very good. Okay? And now I want you just to find that as I do it again, it's just excellent, very good. And you'll find that it's even easier the further back you go, all the way into a trance right now. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move, and you're going to sit down in a chair behind me and go all the way into a trance. Except for the fact this time you're not. Okay, so this time you're going to go ahead and come on back. And find yourself regaining normal consciousness. Now, and feeling totally all the way back here. And able to hold yourself up. And you forget any magnetic attraction to my hand. Yes, that's the ticket. Okay, go ahead and come on back and stand up now on your own. You got to make sure they do that though, because you see how even during the whole time, if I start moving my hand, he starts going back against it again.
And his eyes were open.
Yeah.
Yeah, his eyes
When do
were
you
open.
tell them
What's
to close
going
their
on?
eyes?
Oh, I would have told him right up front. Just close your eyes, and I would have done it. It didn't matter. So in this case, he was going out anyway, weren't you?
That's different. It's definitely in a different state.
That's called hypnosis. Okay, go sit down. All right.
Why does that work? Because they're giving the power to you to control.
I don't like to ever say those words under any condition. I like to say that what they're doing is they have enough rapport with you to trust you and to follow your suggestion. And as they follow the suggestion, you leverage that into an induction.
You've proved that they can trust you by supporting
Yes.
them, and then so when you do say you're going into the trance right now,
Right.
they trust you enough to go
Right.
ahead and do it.
Right. Okay, let's practice it. Okay. So get together with a partner.
Just to that point.
Just do the point where you sit them down. Hold on a minute, guys. Just do the point where you sit them down, and then give a few quick suggestions and bring them back. So we're just going to take 3 or 4 minutes each on this. Okay. What I want you to do is just suggest that each time they use trance, they'll go deeper and more completely than the time before. That's all I want you to suggest and bring them back. Okay, go ahead. Start.
You know about that?
Yeah. What's that like? What'd you experience? Tell me. Talk to me.
Well, I didn't feel like I did it very good, but he said you had me.
Okay, and I don't know about that, and that's good, but I will tell you that you did not stand directly behind her. You were standing to the side trying to help her. And her face was like, I don't like this scares me. When she was going down, she was not comfortable about what was happening because you weren't directly behind her. That's why I say brace yourself when you do this and stand behind them so they trust and feel that they've got your body behind them. You're not going to let them drop. And Barbara, if you're a small person, be careful doing it to a big person because they aren't going to trust you, period, probably. So don't let them come very far back. Okay? Just say, now, I'm not going to let you go very far, but I just want you to we're just going to use this test here. And then you just bring back a little bit. Now, with everyone else, see, I'm letting them come back in an angle until they hit me.
No, I don't remember the first class too well, except that I didn't trust like I did this class. And it's like, this is an easy way to move in the hypnosis. Much easier than verbal.
Good.
I don't know, maybe I'm just feeling really kind
Well, no, people will respond, a good percentage of them verbally and a good percentage of them physically. So if you like physical things, there's all kinds of things I'll be telling you today about how to use it. Okay, so make sure that you stand behind the person. You're really behind them. And then once you get them relaxing, say, now I'm going to lift you back up. And I want you to stand there, and then we're going to sit in the chair, which is directly behind you. So take one step back now with your left foot first. And I give them every detail of the instructions so they don't get confused anymore. Good. Now sit down all the way into a trance.
Oh.
Hey, why not use language when you can? Yes?
Is it okay to use your own thoughts while you're down in there?
Sure, you will anyway.
That's what I was doing. I was using some good stuff.
Amazing. You're programming yourself now. See?
Yeah.
That's great. Perfect. Absolutely. That's the way you want to do it. Okay? In fact, isn't that what all of you are doing at this point? You're down there and your brain starts running like crazy, right? Going, oh yeah, and I can do this and I can do this, and you're just putting in thoughts in your own head. That's self-programming. That's self-hypnosis. Boy, we're really speeding along. This is great. Okay. This is a wonderful pattern to use with people. It's very easy. It's very quick. And real quickly now, I'd like to just demonstrate with every one of you. Have all of you guys felt the arm levitation? Have all of you felt that on the front row? Okay, then let me just show you back here so each of you experience that. Listen to my words. John, I'm going to take the arm and leave it right here. Good. Excellent. Good. Locked, right? You feel the lock. You can put it down. You're going to just leave it there. I'm going to do it, okay? Now let's take the arm and we're going to leave it right here. Do you feel it sort of lock into place? Did I do it with you? Okay, have I done it with you? I've not done it with you. Come over here and do it. First of all, I'm going to take the arm. I'm going to leave it right there. He's gone, man. Come on back and put your arm down. He's gone. Now, I also used further surprise because he thought I was coming around to deal with him. And instead, I just grabbed his arm. He's like, okay. Surprise works great in hypnosis. Now, let's take the arm and we'll just leave it right here. You can go ahead and put it down. Feel it lock into place, sort of? It's like it just belongs right there. Right on, I'm going to take the arm, and we're going to leave it right there. Feel that?
Yeah.
You go ahead and put it down. And Barbara, I'm going to take the arm and leave it right there.
When'd you change your name, Jay?
So, Barbara, Jay, so we'll take the arm and we'll just go ahead and leave it right here. Notice their face change so much as that happens? Go ahead and put it down, guys, whenever you want to. Or you can leave it there all day if you want, I guess. All right. Do you feel that touch, though? Do you get the touch? See, what I'm doing is I'm using kinesthetic, confusion techniques. What I'm doing is I'll say, now, first of all, I'm using language. I'm going to take the arm. The arm? Whose arm? Right? The arm dissociates the arm from them. Okay? Which often will instantly make the arm go numb. Sometimes it'll instantly go numb when you do that. They'll even say, I don't feel the arm at all. You'll hear people talk like that. Did it start to do that for you? Right, because it's dissociated from you, and it is like foreign at that point. Imagine if I started dissociating you from any problem while associating you to all pleasure. Imagine if I dissociated you from conscious thoughts while associating you with unconscious processing. Some food for thought. Okay, so what I do is I take the arm and I say, I'm going to take the arm and leave it here. Well, leave it here is also a good suggestion, right? Okay, and then what I do is I gently start becoming more gentle with my touch, and then I'll also go left to right usually. So a little up, down, left, right, and then just slowly like take my hand away. And the arm will stay right there until you suggest it begins to move down with true unconscious movement. Then you can link all kinds of suggestions to the movement going down. Now that's easier, by the way, than getting arm levitation, which is a classical hypnotic phenomenon, okay? Where they'll say, now, you'll begin to notice that either the right hand or the left hand will begin to rise up with true unconscious motion, as if it was pulled magnetically to the face. And they'll go on and on like this, right? And it's like, it takes forever, because if they're dissociated, and often they are, they don't feel the hand. They imagine it's raising up, but they don't feel it, and it's not moving. And you're going, and it moves up, and it's 1,000 helium balloons are tied to the arm. That's right, yeah. And they're going up, raise your hand. It's like, come on, go up. It's like you're jumping. I mean, I've seen hypnotherapists jump up and down and go crazy trying to get someone's hand to move up. And if you want to really freak them out at that point, you go, excuse me, can I step in? They'll go, oh, I guess. And you go, you're already imagining the arm going up, and so it's a natural phenomenon for your hand to lift to the place where it's being visualized now. Lift your hand now to the place where you've been imagining it to be all along. And usually they'll go, and it goes right, but still it's no fun to do. It's like it's a real royal pain to try to sit there and go and go and go. I'd rather spend all that time programming them to do something I want, not trying to fight with them over eye closure or arm levitation. That's no fun. It's a waste of my time and theirs, and I'm stressed out when I'm done. Yes, Barbara.
When you say that surprise is great in hypnosis, do you mean confusion? Is that what you mean by surprise?
Sure. And your last name was, look at your hand. Notice all the lines and colors in your hand. As you notice it, I want you to just find that the hand is tied to the eyes, such as the hand starts to move down now with true unconscious motion. That's right. Now, if they actually did that, I still want them to go in the trance, I go like this. Yeah, weird, isn't it? Look at it. Where'd it go? And you don't know. Close your eyes and just relax. Now, what I did is, well, not exactly. Don't quite think of it that way. He said breaking a tote. Tote is an NLP term called test, operate, test, exit, which stands for any moment in time can be represented by a tote. All representational systems are. And what it does is it doesn't break the tote so much as it stops the tote in the middle where it doesn't have one. What's the middle of a handshake? There isn't. It's one unit of behavior. Okay? So when I go out and I say, hi, my name's Kenrick Cleveland, and you're Randall. Glad to meet you, Randall. And actually nice. In fact, look at the hand. Notice the lines and colors as you close your eyes now and continue to see the picture with your eyes closed. As the hand begins to move down with true unconscious motion, you'll come back conscious. Now, come on back. Okay, you see what I'm doing? It's like, once again, once it's up, I can just let go of it by applying gentle pressure to the underneath, like this, until they don't know what I'm doing. All of a sudden, my hand's gone and their hand's stuck there. Or I just walk right up and say, "Hi, I'm Kenrick. Look at your hand. Notice the lines and colors in your hand. Notice how the eyes shift in relationship to those lines and colors. As you follow one, the eyes close as the hand begins to move down. Now, as you relax completely. Find yourself feeling safe, comfortable, and secure as you relax. Neat, huh? You can come on back, Randall, whenever you like. So, do you notice the confusion on his? What happens when I do that? He's like, right?
Yeah, I was wondering where rapport comes in. If you don't know anyone and you do this and you have not established, and like we really have our
Handshake is rapport.
A handshake is in our culture a start of rapport. It also has to do with how you look at them. So Erickson, for example, as I understand it, unfortunately I never met and worked with a man directly. I sure wished I could have. But he would have a twinkle in his eye. And he was an old man, and that kind of helped. And it's like you trusted him because he was also Dr. Milton Erickson, and he was introduced as such. And so he set it up as good as he... It wasn't like you're walking down the middle of Portland somewhere and go, "Oh, hi, aren't you... I'm Kenrick. Look at your hand." You'll get shot, you know. You got to be a little careful with that kind of thing. But as long as you have a reason to know them or a right to do it or some credibility, you can do that pattern.
Okay, that's what I mean.
When I was first learning this, I had a whole bunch of people that refused to shake my hand any longer. I'd throw everybody. I'd throw waitresses into traffic. Really appreciate your service today. Thank you so much. Look at your hand. There's all kinds of fun things you can do.
Was Erickson entirely self-taught, or did he have some trainings for him?
Self-taught. So I guess he took some direct authoritarian hypnosis studies, and then other than that, it was all his own.
Was he a medical doctor or a psychiatrist?
Medical doctor and also psychiatrist. Specialty in psychiatry. Or, as he says it, psychiatry. Okay, before we go to lunch, I would like to leave you with this thought. I want you to start to learn to pace your tonality, to pace your words, so that it sounds like you're speaking in a very strong rhythm. So that as you speak, your words are keeping time with some kind of an unspoken rhythm. So that while other people listen, you can start to use embedded commands right within the rhythm. And you'll begin to find that as you use this kind of pattern, a real powerful trance will begin to develop on its own, just simply from using the pattern. When you speak in a rhythm, you can start off with doing it in such a way that nobody will even know that you're really using any kind of a pattern. You're filling in most of the words and most of the blanks with what it is you're saying. And so there's really not much pausing, but if you want to deepen the trance, then what you go ahead and do is allow a longer pause and say fewer words between the pauses. So that when you do that, the people that are listening will just begin to go inside. They'll find that they just stop all conscious thought while they alter their attention inwards. Now, you begin to understand the power of being able to alter your consciousness. And you begin to understand how you can use that to really become the person you want to be, one with your unconscious. As you alter even deeper and just let go. You find it's very difficult to resist in any fashion. That it's just easier to let go and feel safe. Or resist and worry. Really worry. And so it's easy to just let go and find yourself relaxing. and when it's appropriate for you to realize that you've been able to get this rhythm, this tempo in your mind, then it's time for you to go ahead and come on back. And I want you to hear that tempo beating in your mind all during lunch, perhaps for many days to come, so that you can use that rhythm to sync your own words to. Because we'll be using this pattern when we get back from lunch. Takes a little practice, but boy, is it powerful. That's why forgive me for any of you that are Christian-oriented. I'm not intending to make fun of Christians in general or anything, but a specific televangelist that I witnessed on TV, where they'll get really carried away with what they're doing, and they'll say, "And Jesus said, and Jesus said, and Jesus said that the way of the sinners is the way of iniquity. And if you are slipping into the devil's grasp, then you are going to burn in hell." Can I hear an amen? And so that's they're rhythmically pounding the suggestions at you. And there's no way away from it. I mean, they just pound, and then they use great emotion, which is a really powerful method of transferring suggestion. And they're very congruent, and they repeat things in threes, symbolic of God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. Very, very powerful for people who buy into that. Very, very powerful. Even if you don't, you'll be taken in by it. In fact, I've often said I can easily induce an outpouring of the Holy Spirit on anyone I choose to outpour it upon, simply by aiming suggestions that's what they're experiencing. If you listen to especially Baptist churches, again, I apologize, no ill will towards any Baptists. I've got many good friends that are Baptists. You'll notice, especially in the Southern Bible Belt, that they set up the whole church experience very powerfully, where they start with songs. The songs are very rhythmic, and they're very emotional, and they go to a feverish pitch, and the volume gets louder and louder the closer you get to the sermon. And the sermon comes on, and the guy is supercharged, and he's running back and forth on the stage, and he's really speaking in cadence, and he's doing all this negative elicitation and positive elicitation, right? And then near the end, they have a final prayer, and they start slowing down and backing down after they do a few healings, And that stuff is very, very powerful. Once again, I'm just trying to expose those people that would be using this fraudulently, not, people actually, they believe that that's right for them, and I'm not going to argue with it. I will tell you that it's easily induced. So hopefully you're starting to see a little bit more about the way the brain works, and you can be a lot more in control of yours. That would be my hope for you. Okay, let's go to lunch. I have 1:25. Guess I blew my 1 o'clock schedule. So why don't we come back at 2:25? What?
I thought it was earlier.
Yeah. Okay, and we'll be back at 2:25. Let me suggest, please eat a very mild lunch. Something not very heavy that won't just sit on your stomach, because you're going to be going out all afternoon anyway. So, closest vegetarian places around. I don't know of anything that's specifically vegetarian.
Dairy Queen.
Burger King.
There's an Izzy's way down the road, but I don't know if you can actually get there and back in time. Okay, 2:25. Goodbye. Well, just real quickly, would everyone just take a quick look around and see if you find a set of keys that is not yours?
Are they on a ring?
Yeah, there's a ring on them, and there's a whole bunch of them. 18 or 20 of them, probably.
This is a new induction.
Yeah.
Say they're probably back here for all this video.
What did they give us the key to?
They're Kenrick.
I haven't been anywhere. I mean, all I've been is... No keys, huh? Okay. Yeah.
I mean, at lunch.
No, it was before lunch that I couldn't find them. Associate from that. How was lunch? Yeah? Okay. Ready to do more hypnosis?
Yes.
Great. Are we having fun? I mean, is this like, are you learning a lot of good stuff? I hope. Okay, good. I sure enjoy teaching you guys, so this is
Full-on double barrel today.
pretty close. Why? Yeah. Well, I'm happy, and that makes a big difference, except I can't find my keys. Okay, let's go to overlapping representational systems, induction number 3.
Why don't we take another 5 minutes to try to find out so you'll get what's in yourself, beside yourself. Let's do that.
Let's do that. Let's go take the car apart.
Well,
we can comb the grass out there.
y'all want to take 5 minutes? You mind?
Yeah.
Let's do it. All right, let's take 5.
Kenrick.
All right, take off your clothes.
Rado, would you shut that door for me so we can be more private?
Okay.
And good, I feel so much better. Thank you guys for allowing me the break.
Good thing I didn't go help him find him, and I was selfish enough to clean my own glasses, or I never would have found him.
That's right. Well, hey, I think
Maybe
you
we should empty her purse.
have to take care of yourself. Let's see what else is in there. Klepto. Okay, representational system overlap. First of all, any questions about what we've done this morning? Questions, comments, thoughts, ideas? Suggestions? Requests? Okay. Yes, Dennis, I got the message. We're going to move right on with representational system overlap. Let us talk about what representational system overlap is and does. Okay, just as we did the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 induction, okay, where it's going like this. You know, it's like 5 or 4 in the external, 1 in the internal, 4 and 2, 3 and 2, you know, so that pretty soon it's all internal. The representational system overlap is really cool because it is totally covert sounding. In fact, it's so covert that even people with training often will miss this while they just zoom right into a trance. It's also something that can be done in the guise of natural or normal conversation. Okay? The trick is start with where the person is if at all you know. If you don't, pick one. Okay, pick a representational system. But let's say that I know. So, Dennis, tell me a little bit about why you think you're going to end up having to change your job.
Because the company thinks they can find somebody for less money.
Good. Why don't you come on up here? I like to take black belts in karate and knock them out into trance. Something satisfying about that, Dennis. You know, it's like I have a control there. You know. No, come on. I'm just kidding you. Okay, now by judiciously asking him a couple of questions, silence. By judiciously asking him a couple of questions, what I found out is that he's accessing primarily visually. Now, how might I have known that? Because did you hear any visual words?
They're looking.
Eye accessing cues. Let's find out. Let's just ask him again, and you folks see if you can see it. Okay. So, Dennis, tell me a little bit about why you feel like you're going to have to get another job with the company you're in.
I feel it happening because
right there.
Yeah. They sent a set of consultants down, and the end result is they said, by the way, we pay our managers about half that as far as company is doing.
This is interesting. I'm seeing a lot more this time. What are you guys seeing?
His first response, his eyes went up.
Right.
And then he went down into talking to himself and accessing his feelings.
So what are you trying to find? What are you trying to do? In terms of if you have to get another job, what are you going to do, you think?
Well, I would like to do something on my own. Bill's trying to help me get motivated to. And meanwhile, I'm looking for a similar position.
Okay. We're definitely going with visual. Okay. All right. So we heard a visual predicate this time, and we saw a lot of accessing up. We saw some over and feeling it. When he's trying to get motivated, he was accessing the feeling of motivation. Okay. Other than that, he's so how about if I help motivate you to get going on that with an altered state? Would that be in keeping with your values? Okay, I see no reason why we can't do that. So here's what I'd like you to do. Just close your eyes, and as you look at your current environment that you have at work, and you see what goes on there on an average day as you just sort of zoom in and look at it. I want you just to watch a waitress as she goes out to serve somebody. And as she delivers the food, I want you to, as she hands the first plate over, I want you to listen to what she says or what the people say. And as you hear the conversation, you see them move the plate around just ever so slightly so it's adjusted just right for them, and they do the little fussings that people do, and you hear them talking amongst themselves. And you have a feeling about what that waitress is doing. And as you connect with your own internal feeling about what's going on, if she's doing a good job or not, and maybe there's a little question about how you do feel about it. Maybe you're not sure. That's right. You could just discover that as you look out, you seem to be taking in so much more of the picture now. You hear the roar of all the people around. And as you check your own feelings for what's going on there and whether it's running properly or not, you have a good kinesthetic sense about if things are in order or not. And so maybe you take a moment to go back to the office or someplace comfortable and just sit down and relax and go inside, anywhere that you might like to normally do that. And as you close your eyes, you can see the light coming in through your closed eyelids in whatever manner that it comes in. You can see any kind of visualizations or visual images that are playing on the inside of your mind's eye. And you might just notice some picture beginning to develop, some movie of yourself really trying to figure out what to do. Maybe you listen to yourself talking to people about what it is you're going to be doing. Maybe you're a little nervous inside, but you want to feel better. And as you expand these sensations of really wanting to do better and wanting to make a break and wanting to really get out and do something for yourself, allow yourself to relax deeply and go into a trance completely. And as you realize the certain sensation of being overloaded to whatever extent that that's happening, or perhaps you feel like you're completely, totally lucid and clear as you find yourself drifting down and experiencing an altered state of consciousness, perhaps more profoundly than at first you thought you might. It's as if something just makes sense all of a sudden. You're able to clear up the picture that takes you deeper, while perhaps hearing the right sounds in your mind that give you the feeling of very deep and profound altered states. That's right. And now I'd like you to recall a time when you wanted to go and do something, maybe the study of karate. And maybe it wasn't easy at first. Maybe there were roadblocks that stopped you. Maybe it was difficult to afford. Was there a time in your life when it was difficult to afford your karate training? No. How about a time when it was difficult? Yes, there was. Great, okay. I want you to remember that. Did you afford it anyway? Did you work it out? Did you go anyway? That's right. I want you to go back and remember that. It was kind of hard then, wasn't it? And what enabled you to really get out and make it happen anyway? You don't have to tell me, just think about it. Nod when you're really thinking about how you really overcame that and you dealt with it. You pushed through it, didn't you? Think about that. You pushed through it. Now I want you to experience that feeling of pushing through, intensifying, making it stronger and making it stronger still. There you go. Excellent. Excellent. And now, I'm going to just raise the arm right to there. Excellent. And as it begins to go down with true unconscious motion, I'd like your unconscious to begin to work while your conscious mind goes out altogether and leaves us to speak together. So that consciously you might go back and recall a pleasant movie or a book that you read or that you saw. And as you do that, as the arm moves down, the unconscious is given more and more ability to take over and do what's necessary to create this change now, Dennis. With each tiny movement down, these changes are locked into your mind. That's right. Excellent. There they go. They're locked in such a way that you find yourself incredibly motivated to push through and accomplish this. To do what it takes, to take the risk if need be. That's right. And as you feel that increasing more and more and more, push through and accomplish it. Push through any limitation, any roadblock. And now speak up and tell me what's going on as you consider this.
Trying to push through a roadblock.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? What other resource would you need to push through it? What other kind of mental state?
More belief in myself.
Yes, you bet. So I'd like you to go back and remember a time when you had massive belief in yourself. Maybe it was on a small scale, but boy, was it intense. Like you knew you could break that board, or you knew you could get that belt passed, or you knew that you were doing a good job as a chef and you deserved what you were getting in terms of the accolades and the degree or certification that you received. I want you to remember what that belief feels like. Do you believe you're a good chef? Are you sure? I want you to feel that belief within you now completely. There you go. Feel that. And now increase that feeling of belief. Feel the belief stronger. There you go. Stronger still and stronger. And now take that and motivation and blast through the roadblock. There you go. Lots easier, isn't it? Now rapidly, before the arm comes to rest, I'd like you just to imagine times in the future when you wouldn't have been able to make this happen. Alarm bells would have rang in your mind. You'd have been stopped. But now, because of the change we've made, you find it easy to push through. You can accomplish it quickly and easily. And I'd like you to run 4 or 5 or 6 of these in your mind, so that by the time the hand comes to rest, you found that you can easily overcome any future obstacle. In fact, it doesn't even feel like an obstacle anymore. It just feels like fun. And you find yourself getting so motivated you can't wait to get out and do it. Yes. Yes. Very good. Feel the peace steal over you now. Peace and calm. As if the decision is now easy. It's already made, isn't it? But there's something that's not quite there yet, is there?
Not really.
So if you were to become aware of what's not quite there or what needs to be there, what would it be?
Uncertainty.
Sure. But I'd like you to ask deep within the creative part of your unconscious if uncertainty is okay to experience, because you are uncertain and that keeps you motivated to do things powerfully and to make this profitable so that you have the money you need. You see, if you were totally certain, you might just sit back on your butt and do nothing. You might just expect the business to happen instead of going out there and really developing it. So maybe uncertainty is the drive that it takes for you to really get out and accomplish this, having made the decision to really be on your own. Yeah. So just imagine for a moment that you are totally certain. You think you might not dot a few I's or cross a few T's? So add that uncertainty just to the point, just to the amount that you're totally and completely motivated and you watch over everything. Because a new business, when you begin it, needs watching, doesn't it? Yeah. Now imagine yourself going for it big time. Feel the uncertainty motivating you, but see the dollars flowing in the door. Yeah, that feels good, doesn't it? No amount of working for someone else can replace that, can it? Do you ever want to again walk in and have somebody be able to look at you and say, as they look at their watch, because you walked in 5 minutes late? Well, now we know where you stand. That makes it better. Imagine now a time in the future when you would doubt yourself for some reason, had we not made this change. And now notice that instead, as you think about that time, you just totally believe in yourself, and you feel good about it. Now, it may be appropriate to take another job while you're developing this. It may be appropriate to go straight for it. But your unconscious knows that answer and can come up with that answer for you. And I'll trust it to do whatever is necessary for you to accomplish this goal quickly, in whatever way makes it safe and rapid for you to do. Very good. And now when it's appropriate, I'd like you to give thanks to your unconscious for really doing what it takes to help you with this. As you realize you're capable of really profound states of consciousness, and you can go deeper each time you go into one. And the change can come faster and easier for you. Your unconscious knows how to marshal all kinds of resources together now to create enormous potential in your life. And you act on that potential and realize it, don't you? That's right. Very good. As rapidly as you find yourself ready now, go ahead and come all the way back, leaving that which should be at the unconscious level there and bringing back that which you need or would like to remember. We'll let the unconscious decide. And you can feel good about it either way.
Whoa. It's neat. Like everything else goes away.
Yeah, real big time, huh?
Yeah.
So, how's that coming off on tape? I'll wave to myself. I mean, when I'm watching myself on TV, I'll wave. Now, one of the ways of developing amnesia, what kind of shoes are those? You got them on?
What kind of shoes?
Like hiking shoes, kind of, huh?
Yeah.
One of the ways of developing amnesia is to switch the subject radically off what you were doing and do it instantaneously. Just out of the clear blue, just switch and talk about something else, okay? Like, oh, what kind of shoes are those? Okay? And that tends to further the development of amnesia because they instantly go back to thinking in a normal conscious state. Okay? So you can remember that for the development of amnesia should you would like to in the future. Now, anyone have any questions for him? And by the way, if you want to develop amnesia, don't ask questions about the trance state. Or, I mean, this still will develop to a large extent, but you may find that it won't develop as completely sometimes if you allow people or yourself to ask a bunch of questions. Yes, Randall?
I forget what I was going to say.
What are you clapping about?
That little zap.
What?
About asking questions to Randall.
What did I do?
Randall's always asking questions.
Yeah?
You asked me not to ask questions about that. You indirectly asked me not to ask questions about being a good friend.
Right.
So, Kenrick, as you that's right.
It fuddled his brain, didn't it?
How long did it take you to start changing state and sign?
I don't know how long.
After you shut your eyes.
It took a little longer than I thought it was taking longer than I thought it should. But
And it did take a little longer.
I noticed that I was, at first, what was catching me was more the rhythm and the
and the tone rather than what he was saying right at first.
So all you folks are anchored to that after today of me doing it repeatedly. That's an anchor that will fire as I start dropping into a tone. Do you notice my tone shift quite significantly when I do this? One of the reasons you want to develop that is because then I can reinduce trance simply by shifting my tone. So it's really nice to begin the experience. Yeah. You feel it, though, don't you? You feel kind of a tugging.
Yeah, a tugging.
Right. Okay.
And still enough awareness to sometimes know when you're changing direction.
Sure. Right. So when you do that, you can talk. See, if this were my trance voice, then I couldn't talk to him because he'd get conditioned to going into trance every time I talked. I don't want that. I want him to go into trance when I shift my tone. So that's another thing you want to really start to pay attention to when you're doing trance work. Is a lot of stuff to pay attention to, isn't there?
So you can really take 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, overlapping and pacely and throw them all out at the same time.
Yes, you can.
Ooh.
I tend to do that usually.
Yes, you do.
If you were to fire off those anchors, would he experience that right
Damn
now?
right he would. If I can find him.
You can see him on the pants.
I know I could, but I can't.
Feel the zipper.
Yeah, he felt the zipper.
Yeah, I felt the zipper.
No, that wasn't them.
This is one of them here. I don't know where the other one is.
A little further.
On the side.
On the side.
You got him. You got him.
That was, yeah, there you go. Yep.
No, that doesn't.
Yeah, I feel. Yeah, it's like pushing buttons.
Yeah, there was a response in your breath.
Oh yeah, there sure was. Yeah, you feel them. Those are strong anchors, and anchors are stronger in trance than they are out. They're set stronger, usually.
Now, is it possible?
Not necessarily relaxed. You're more open. There's no defense.
Can he use those?
No, I could transfer them to him like this. You know how it feels when I do that? Imagine that feeling as you do it yourself, hitting the same places. There you go. That's a lot better. Now imagine it again. Imagine it increasing really strong. Just start right here and imagine it starting. And now drag it up and increase it. Yeah.
Was it intuitive, or did you see something to let you know that he had come across something that was a block?
I saw
his whole face wriggled up.
Right.
He was not capable. He was not completing it properly.
Well, I noticed his arm just like stopped.
Okay, I didn't notice the arm, but I noticed his face was really furrowed and tightened. Yeah, when he was not getting past it, and that's why I asked him what's going on. And that's, by the way, a good demonstration of speaking in trance. You can ask people anything in trance; they can tell you.
Yeah, I was surprised at that too. He's talking to me.
You also have to be careful not to ask literal questions like, "Can you go deeper into trance?" And the question they'll do is yes. They'll answer it instead of going there, sort of, when they're in a trance. You start to take things literally. Trans-literalism, okay? And so you want to be a little like, can you lift up your left arm? They'll go, yes. Instead of in consciousness, you know that to mean lift up your left arm. Okay? All right, so any more questions for him? Yeah.
I'm curious, Denny, when did you really notice yourself, by your own terms of how it felt, go into trance? Do you remember?
When I started getting really confused about all this, see this, and they're moving that around, and they're saying this.
That's the power of rep system overlap. That's what happens. What's happening is the conscious mind has 7 plus or minus 2 slots of information that it can deal with at any given point in time. 7 plus or minus 2. That means 5 to 9. Okay? So if I said to you, here, come here. George. Stay here. Okay, fold your hands. You don't have to zip that up. You fold your hands. Okay, now, all right, now fold it the other way so that this thumb's on top. Yeah. Now I want you to go like this. Okay. Now turn around counterclockwise. Keep going. Keep your thumbs going. Turn around faster. Keep your thumbs going. Now count backwards from 100. Keep going. Keep turning. Keep turning your thumb. Count backwards out loud from 186 by threes.
186, 183, 180.
Keep going. Keep turning.
174.
Keep turning. Imagine each one as you do it now a different color.
58, 100.
Hear the Mormon Tabernacle Choir singing Hallelujah in the background.
56,
Just go deeply into a trance, George.
57, 144.
While you keep counting yourself down further and further.
32.
Makes you want to sit down, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Now, go sit down. Now, What did I do there?
Overloaded it.
Overloaded.
Filled up the 7 plus or minus 2. Okay? Yeah, tilt, serious tilt. Okay? And when that happens, they'll accept the first suggestion that sounds logical. Makes you want to sit down, doesn't it, George? Yeah. And then after he said, yeah, he caught himself. Did you notice that? He was like, how come? You know, it's like for a second there, he wasn't quite sure. But then I said, so go do it. Okay, boom. He walks right over and does it. That's the power of being able to use confusion techniques. When you use rep system overlap, what happens is the brain can't hold the entire sensory data that's coming into it because it has a single primary rep system that it likes to deal with. Like, it'll primarily just be showing you something, or primarily just be hearing something, or primarily feeling, maybe with one other one kind of secondarily thrown in. But when you start having all of them hit you at once, it's like, too much. And it just goes out. You go right out when you do that kind of thing.
So it happens to me when my 5 kids all want something different at the same time,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to focus on something
Probably just zone right out.
I just go, Mom!
Right.
I can't take this.
Any more questions for
Did
him?
you use the word marshal your resources? Because I saw that it made a big impact on him in regards to, like, for instance, martial arts. That it sort of like...
That's interesting. What I will tell you is this. You will find, if you start doing much hypnosis work, all of you, that you talk about things you don't necessarily have a right to know. They pop into your head out of the clear blue. You'll start talking about something and you'll wonder why on earth you started talking about that. And you'll find out later that it totally goes along with what they needed at the time. You'll find out that the words you choose subtly are words that will really impact the client, and you weren't conscious of doing it.
Even when I said it there, it made an impact on you, didn't it?
Oh yeah, I had no idea it said it until you said it. I went, oh yeah, I did say that, and I didn't.
You made a deep...
Yeah.
communication.
What happens is that when you lock on with rapport, what I can tell you is this. I don't know if it's true or not, but let me just tell you the research. They studied psychics that were capable of coming up, renowned psychics that were capable of giving information about people. What they found is that if the psychic could alter the psychic's brain waves to be plus or minus 10%, I think it was, of the subject's brain waves, they could get an accurate reading and really lock on. They both, the subject and the psychic, were hooked up to an EEG machine. If the psychic could not alter the psychic's brain waves that far because the subject was too far above or beneath their own natural rhythms, what would happen is the psychic would not get good information and would say, I can't get through to this person. What I believe is that rapport techniques alter our brain waves. And I believe they synchronize them, is what I believe is what's going on. That's my belief. I have no evidence to that effect, okay? But when they get synchronized, you start coming up with the things that the other person needs to hear, just like walking in step. And it's really profound. And it's a little strange sometimes when you start talking and wonder why you're being led to talk that way. But just trust your unconscious and go with it. Erickson used to tell his students, they'd always ask him, Erickson, how do we become a great hypnotherapist like you? And he said, trust your unconscious. And us NLP people that knew better would say, yeah, if you have your unconscious, it's easy to trust. My unconscious, however, isn't as developed as yours. How do I develop mine so I can trust it? Well, one of the ways is go with whatever intuition is your unconscious is giving you at the time you're doing your session. And that lets the unconscious go, oh, she's trusting me now, or he's trusting me now. Great. Okay, I'll give you more information. I'll help you out further. The unconscious is a very powerful tool. Yeah, for him? Question for him?
No.
Any more questions for him? About talking in trance? About...
Did that didn't take you out of trance when you talked?
I don't think so. I don't know how loud I was talking, but the only thing I noticed right at first, I was surprised that we'd be doing that. Talking.
When you ran into that kind of roadblock, did you feel like that was bringing you out of trance, trying to mentally access an answer?
Yeah, but when he said roadblock, that was a good description, just like
Paced his experience again.
And he did.
So if he hadn't said that, do you feel like that was bringing you out of the trance, the fact that you were starting to think that much to search? Or?
Well, it was just like a stop.
I can tell you that it was not bringing him out of trance. What it was doing is making it, he was reaching an impasse. He no longer had the resources to deal with it. So I had to go give him more. notice an extensive amount of future pacing in that whole thing. Now let's ask him, how do you feel about being able to go out on your own now?
Well, I'm ready to give it a shot.
What's shifted between before we started and now?
Seems more real, again.
$500. Big contact. Good job. Yes, Rob.
I couldn't see the anchors you were putting in. Did you put 2 zip anchors?
That I fired simultaneously then.
Okay.
I about bolted him out of the chair.
I thought you said were there 4 anchors or just 2?
2.
And you were just
Motivation and what was the other one?
Confidence.
Confidence in himself, belief in himself. Yeah, motivation. I first did just the motivation, and that wasn't enough. So he said belief, and I used that as a separate anchor. And I said, now take them both, and I went, and then I said, increase them, and use that to get out of there.
And you used it because there's what? Because
I can control the intensity.
Okay.
I wanted to make it stronger, without having to go after lots and lots of additional resources.
Because otherwise you'd have to stack it.
Stack. And I didn't want to do that. I want to hurry up. Yeah.
What's the advantage of doing 2 instead of stacking one on top of the other?
More control for me, less confusion for him at the moment. You could do it either way. It's a good question, actually. You're thinking strategically. I'm impressed. Very good question. I could have done it on 1. I chose 2 because I wanted to be able to control them individually. It was an unconscious choice on my part. I didn't think it through. Okay, you had a question?
Me?
Yeah.
You're looking at me? No, I wanted to make a statement about what you said about the rapport. I did an experiment one time with someone, and I modeled exactly everything that he did, and then I had to say how I felt, and I said, I feel like I'm standing at attention, kind of like in front of a native something, but it's too relaxed, and it's not quite like that. And come to find out, he was standing getting his Eagle Scout award.
I've had people do things like, I feel like I'm at a campground, and I'm looking over a bunch of tents, and there's a lake. And that's exactly the scene. I mean, that happens. And all you have to do if you want to try this and experiment is have one person go completely into some emotion that they're experiencing and pick a time when they're having this emotion and go into it like they're having it again. Okay? And then you do exactly what they're doing. Have a third person help mold you to the exact position the person's in. So you're sitting just like them, your muscle tension is just like them, your arms and legs are just like theirs, your breathing is at the same speed, same depth, your head tilt is the same. Everything is identical. And then just relax at that point and see what comes to you. And you may well get exact information about what's going on with that person. That's why I'm so convinced in the power of rapport. It really works. Okay, you guys, any more questions about this? Because you're about ready to do it, unless you have any questions. Okay, get in groups of 2 now, and I will tell you the exercise as soon as you're there.
It's hard to get.
Yeah, you want to do it with me? You'll come do it with me? Is there equal number of people?
Okay.
Kenrick, a question. Like was it anchors?
Ask me that in 1 second.
Okay.
Okay. You all have partners? Who? Oh, yeah, good, Dan. Okay, so here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to do the rep system overlap. Now, by the way, think of this, too. Just ask the person, what do they want to accomplish? Okay, so, Gerardo, what is it that you'd like to accomplish? Gerardo.
Yeah, I'm thinking. Yeah. More motivation.
Do you talk to yourself about motivation when you do it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would start with auditory with Gerardo, because his eyes went down to auditory internal dialogue. So I would talk about, so now let's say I wanted to create a fantasy story for him, okay? So I'd say, Gerardo, I want you to imagine that you're laying on the beach. And I want you to listen to the sound of the waves as they break in one after the other. As you're laying there listening to the sound of the waves, I want you to listen to the sound of seagulls off in the distance as they circle. As you listen to these sounds, I want you to notice people nearby walking by, chatting softly between themselves. As you hear that next wave break and rush towards the shore, look out and notice how far it comes in. How close does it get to you? And as you see the wave now rush back out towards the sea again, you notice off in the distance those birds. And you hear the calls they're making. You see them circling. And you get up and you walk down to the ocean. And you stand out in the wet sand past the waterline. And as you hear that next wave break and rush up towards the place where you're standing, you see the white foam swirling as it gets closer and closer to your feet and then washes right over your feet. You feel that cold water rush over your feet. And you feel the little grains of sand under your toes as the water rushes up past. You look down and you notice the water arcing off your ankles as it makes a little tide pool there. And as the water recedes back out, feel it pull the sand out from under your feet with it as it goes. That's right. You feel the sun beating down on you, warming you and comforting you. He's gone. Come on back, Carl. Now, you see what I did there? I just went at natural points of overlap and overlapped to the next sensory system. I started in auditory, so you heard the waves and you heard the birds. And then I went to visual. As you heard the wave, look at the wave come in. Now look at it go back out. Now look at the birds. Now as you hear the next wave, listen to it break, watch it come in. Okay? And as it goes back out, you stand up and walk out with it. You stand up and walk out to the wet sand. And as you hear the next one break and you watch it rushing in, you feel it go over your feet. See at natural points of overlap what I'm doing? It's really trancy. That's a really trancy thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned that he accessed auditory by looking down.
First.
And what's the difference between kinesthetic looking down and auditory looking down? How would I do
As I look at you, auditory internal dialogue is this way and kinesthetic is that way.
Okay.
Reverse it for me.
Right auditory to the left kinesthetic. Is that right?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Been a while. I think so. Am I right? Anybody know that?
Off to your own right is your kinesthetic.
Okay, you're right. But so off to.
So you would go over there to get kinesthetic, and your eyes would, from our point of view,
right.
You would go over here to get.
Where would your eyes go for kinesthetic? You're right. That's what I thought. Okay, I'm right. That's right. I'm sitting there going, that's crazy. It's been so long since I've even tried to. Yes, Barbara.
So their rep system is your lead to other rep systems.
Yes. Right. Imagine this. Imagine looking in a small hole onto a world. And as you start crossing over, look, Barbara, as you start crossing over the rep systems, the hole gets bigger and bigger, and it's a doorway, and you walk through into the world. You're completely immersed in it. That's what overlapping rep systems does. All right. So the exercise is one more question.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Please just repeat it. One way is one, one's the other. I got confused with it.
Okay. As you look at me. Okay. As you look at me, I'm all backwards.
Your kinesthetic's over here.
Yeah, my kinesthetic's here. I teach it the other way. See.
Your
Auditory's here. So as you look at someone, when your eyes go off to my left, when my eyes go off your left, it's kinesthetic. The other side is auditory internal dialogue. It's hard, you can only say it one way. You try to say it in the perspective of someone else, and my whole head swims. Y'all trying to induce trance on me again, I know it. All right, here's the exercise. Two groups of two. The first person, the hypnotist, asks, what do you want? Pay attention to the rep system that you get. If you don't know, pick one. Okay? Then say, fine, close your eyes and induce trance by overlapping the rep system. When you get them down there, give them some positive thing, but make it quick. Give you 5 minutes each max, and then bring them back.
How much do you want to focus on their current rep system before you start overlapping?
Just enough to establish it.
Okay.
Yeah, just enough to make it so it's real.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay? Go ahead, begin. Maybe you're not doing it for a reason. So, okay, let me have your attention. Come on. Shh. Randall, tell me what it was like. What'd you learn? It was more difficult? Was this harder? How many of you thought it was harder?
I thought this was easier than
It's harder to make up
It's a little easier to have things to talk about.
I also found that I could share in that experience. That's kind of fun. I mean, I thought, I'm going to have to go out and do what I'm doing here, and it's going to be, a real hassle, to have to do this, or it's not a real hassle, but it's something I have to work at, and that's not what found out that was really pleasant.
Great. Okay, let's now divert from what we're doing just momentarily, just because I think at this point you're probably getting the gist of what I told you this morning, that I wanted you to have your sensory acuity raised significantly so that when you're talking with someone, you can see when they're altering. You see, is that starting to make sense at this point now? Okay, so here's what I'd like you to do. Let's find a partner, and I want you to ask this partner for criteria about buying, I don't care, pick anything simple, a seminar, a car, I don't care what, okay? But get their criteria and then leverage it using commands and presuppositions, 18 most powerful words, just to real quickly see if you can convince them to do something. Okay, you can open your manuals to anywhere you want, just to use to cheat with if you'd like. But I want you to, as you're talking to this person, just notice how they are going to naturally go off into an altered state. Okay, as you're talking, they'll just go sort of. You'll see their eyes kind of glaze over. Okay, when that happens, increase your commands like crazy. Just look at them directly and say, you probably feel like at this point you'd like to go ahead and get started, but maybe you don't know it yet. Okay, well, I understand that. Let me help you to get started. Do something like that. Okay? All right, when you see them kind of zoning out. Do you understand the exercise?
I'm writing notes. Do you want us to go through this and try and sell our product?
What I want you to do is sell something now. Go back, leave hypnosis alone for a minute. Go back and just sell something, but notice how they're altering when you use these kinds of suggestion patterns. And when they start altering, really increase the frequency of your suggestion patterns and be even direct at that point. Just tell them to go ahead and do it, because they'll feel really good about it and they'll like it. And watch the impact that you have. Notice how your persuasion skills will probably jump by about 50%. Okay? So just quickly turn to a person next to you and go ahead and do it. What? Will watch me do it?
No, I have a question about overlapping rep systems.
Yeah, could we watch you do it? Can you?
Well, I don't know. I was going to consider it, but maybe I thought we'd let you do it instead. Well, I'll watch you.
Yeah.
Since you're the genius now.
Go for it.
Yeah, Dan, come up here.
Handsome genius, too.
Park it, baby. Okay, so Dan, we're not gonna do trance. We're just gonna talk about business. Okay.
Okay.
Dan, this is true story. Let me ask you a question. What caused you to enroll in this training?
I really wanted to increase my income. I wanted to increase my effectiveness in sales, and which is what I do, and increase the effectiveness to be able to convince people to do things they don't want to do.
Sure. And okay. And let me ask you this: how would you know if you were increasing your effectiveness? What would be happening for you besides just obviously increased sales? I mean, what would take place that would let you know that that's on target?
Well, every day I went out to my mailbox, I get that checks from my contractor, so that's how I would know.
Okay, good.
The colors of those checks.
You sure do. Good. Okay. And as you analyze what's been happening here so far, do you feel like you're being led to that point of being more capable?
Yes, except that I'm not conscious of it. Sometimes I feel like something happens and it's like I'm in a trance when I talk to somebody and somebody does something I wanted to do, and then I figure out, hey, that's something I did, but it might even be 2 or 3 weeks after it happened. I'd like to be a little bit more on top of it. Like,
okay. Well, hey, that you're even doing it all is great progress to start with, and now we'll get conscious of what it is you're doing.
Okay.
But yeah, it makes sense. Now, do you see how doing something that's a little bit more clinically oriented actually helps you to get greater skill in the sales end of it?
Sure, because it's all part of the influence of people.
Exactly. Okay, good. So what's really bottom line important about making more money and increasing your influence skills?
Well, do some investments. Get some properties I'm going to buy.
Because?
Basically, because I'm going to get more security and have some fun, go some places that I want to go.
You know, it's the pits when you don't feel the kind of security that you know you need. And you start to feel like you're hanging out there just ready to get it whacked off any time, isn't it? So to speak. Well, let me tell you something. I think I'm offering a class upcoming here real quick in therapeutic skills, all the therapeutic patterns of NLP, and I'm really going to do this. And what I want to suggest to you is that you ought to take the course for 2 reasons. First of all, as you see how your skill can be increased by being here, doing therapeutic patterns, well, 2 things will happen when you attend the therapeutic course. The first thing is you'll find that not only will your therapeutic skills increase, which will give you, by the way, some security, because you'll be more in control of your own thought processes. Anything that's bugging you deep inside.
I have customers who like to have therapy. If I don't have lunch with them every 2 weeks, they get all bent out of shape. So it's like therapy with people who pay me.
That's right. Well, then there's a double
But
benefit.
that's a pain in the ass.
Sure, but at least you'll now be able to do it with extreme effectiveness. If you choose to do it, you'll be able to do it
It's
real
like you spread
powerfully.
those lunches out over every 3 weeks, right?
That's right. And second of all,
I only have to have lunch with so-and-so.
well, what you can do is program them to want it no more than once a month.
I could. How about once every 3 months?
What I think you'll find is you'll do a short burst. Sure.
Still pay me as much.
You'll do a short burst of maybe 2 or 3 sessions, and then maybe you'll be able to go 4, 6, 8 weeks without seeing them. Then maybe you'll need to go to quick. But see, once you program people to go into a trance just by sitting in one special chair,
And you'll teach me that in this course, right?
well, I'll teach you in this one too. You don't have to pay me no money to get that. But I'm just saying, what I'm saying is then might as well go ahead and learn some more therapeutic skills while you're at it. And imagine if we could use them all on you to get your security where you'd like it to be too, because you feel so much more confident about yourself.
Yeah, I like that.
Pretty good, isn't it?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. So as you think about it, you start to feel pretty good about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I'll let you know as soon as I'm going to have it, and we'll see what we get you involved. Okay. Now, that's all I want you to do, just that simple.
And I wasn't going to take the course because I heard that.
Because what?
I wasn't going to take the course at first.
You weren't?
Well, I was thinking about, I don't want to do any more therapy. I'm tired of therapy. I just want to do sales or something.
And now?
And now, because of all of those therapy type / marketing situations that I get myself into, I think I'd like to do this.
That's right. Imagine anything coming along, trying to change your mind and finding itself defeated before it even comes up. Imagine yourself just simply going, yes, Kenrick, albeit the Christ. Okay, so you see what I'm trying to get you to do? I want you to just watch closely for what's happening. Do everything I taught you to do anyway. I mean, that wasn't really sophisticated, was it? I mean, that was just sort of pretty simple, okay? And yet, look at the power of it. I mean, it had a really powerful impact. That's all I want you to do right now. Just take a couple of minutes to elicit criteria and link it to what you want the person to do, noticing as they alter their consciousness slightly. Okay? That's all I want you to do. Take like 2 or 3 minutes each is all. Just do it real quick. Begin. Okay. Tell me about it. How did it work? Yes, what?
Wrap them around your finger.
Wrap them around your finger. Gerardo, how did it work?
Well, Barbara was working on it. She didn't get me in rapport, so I was out of rapport with her, so it didn't work.
Gerardo, I have a dumb thing to say to you at this point, but how in hell is it possible, with the length of time you've known her, to be out of rapport? You'd have to work at it.
No, really.
No, really. You'd have to work at it.
No.
So start working at being in rapport. As a master practitioner level student at this point, I think that'd be sort of second nature.
Well, no, the interesting thing is she did manage to sell me on something that I'm actually interested in.
Well, that's good. That's a step in the right direction.
But
So do yourself and her a favor next time. Get in rapport. Both of you. Oh, that is really sad, Barbara. Yeah, I agree with that. That's sad. You thought you were in rapport and you weren't. Okay, well, you probably were. He's just being a differences person, so we'll move on. Okay, what else is it like, though? I want some feedback. Give me feedback. Tell me about it. Did anybody do it?
Yeah.
How come I'm not hearing anything?
Well, I noticed little shifts in his considering.
Okay.
I might not have really caught before, because before I was trying so much on the process of what I was trying to do, and I didn't do it perfect by any means, but I was able to gauge what I was doing based more on what he was doing than what comes next.
Okay, good. And was this hard for you guys?
This was hard for me.
It was hard for you? Okay.
Is pacing all the eye movements,
You don't have to pace all the eye movements, just the first ones to start with.
not pacing them, but just, is that when you start to really notice what it's doing to people, that they just kind of, do it and come back with the answer? That's the shift you're looking for, right?
No. I was looking more for, as you do what you're going to do with them, okay, and you're using these kind of patterns, they will naturally go out into a trance.
That's what I said, yeah. And part of it is their eyes go up.
Okay. Well, you're right. Moving on.
Is that wrong?
So,
I don't know. I'm in a trance. I can't think anymore. I don't know if that's wrong. I mean, to me, that isn't exactly what happens. What happens is they'll have many different symptoms of going into an altered state. I'm watching for whatever they display, and as they display it, I use more suggestions. That was sort of the long and short of the exercise right there.
so is it kind of like what we've been doing all along, is going part way here and we're just amplifying it today and then go back to doing what we were doing before and noticing the changes?
Noticing the changes and being able to take much greater advantage of the changes. Yes. And, of course, the secondary benefit, which could be the primary one depending on what you're here for, is you also get to know how to do trance. Okay, but beyond that, you are going to have tremendously greater skill as a result of learning how to do this, because you'll see it, you'll hear it, you'll feel it, you'll sense it, and boom, you'll launch right in with the suggestions. This will also tell you about rapport. Do you notice how you can tell, do you notice how the rest of you can tell that you're in rapport better now? Can you feel that you're more there, or you're not there enough? Okay, good. Those are all outcomes we should have.
I think that's the reason why I didn't get it. He had me so much in rapport, and I was telling him how good he was, that I just couldn't seem to do anything.
You were speechless. You were entranced.
I was entranced.
Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, I think let's take a break, and let's take 10 minutes. And if you didn't get a chance to switch, please take a minute and help your partner so that they get a chance to do it. And but please move around and let's come all the way back and wake up so we can really get the rest of this going. Hold on a minute. Yeah, I guess I should say this for tape too. Doing this much all at once is really a stretch. I remember going through it myself and feeling like I didn't know where I was at the end of the day, wondering what walls I would be running into next. So I applaud your ability to hang in there with all this. Okay, we are really flying through this. I'm really impressed at how much we've been able to get through. So I'd like to move into the fractionalization technique next, which is one of my all-time favorites, especially for a client that you're going to be doing lengthy kind of things with over time, where you have to see them occasionally, because it's very useful to get them into a very deep and profound trance quickly. One that's totally accessible, that they really feel if something's going on. Sometimes just going into a trance from normal consciousness is such a big deal because they're not used to doing it, except maybe with you, let's say, that they'll feel like something has changed for the better just because they went into a trance. You like that idea? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to do that for any of us to create dependency. Like, oh gee, I got to see you next week. This is so good this week, I got to see you next week.
Okay, you'll find that the type of suggestions...
Hold on. I don't want it.
No, I got it. Did you think I wasn't getting it?
No, I wasn't sure I was getting it. I was
Oh.
feeling the pain of it, actually.
You're feeling the pain. The pain of being needed all the time by the same client.
All the time.
Client after client. Appointment book full of clinical session after clinical session. When you think about my competitors, or not doing everything I suggest, that appointment book just gets heavier with clinical clients. Now, notice that even in fun, it has a drastic impact. So start using these kinds of things, like in your sales and stuff, right? If you find something about someone that's that awful, just start linking it like that. It's lots of fun. You'll watch them turn mental fits when you do it. Now, here's what I want to get at, though. When you're talking and using this kind of trance, the kind of suggestions I'm teaching you to do, and the kind that you've been learning all throughout the course, basically you're not building dependence. Okay? What's happening is you're making them feel so positive, but you're linking it to themselves. Notice that one of the things I could easily be saying, and a lot of hypnotists do, but you don't hear me saying it up here, is, and you feel really positive having made these changes so far, don't you? Uh-huh. And every time you think about the changes you made, you'll think about me and all I've done for you, and you'll feel like recommending your friends and your relatives, and you'll want to really support me because of all the support I've given you, and that makes sense, doesn't it? Uh-huh. See, they do that kind of stuff. And I don't think that's right, personally. I think that kind of linking happens naturally. The kind of transference that the therapist is looking for happens just because you've done a good job. You don't need to do any more programming than that. But if you fear that there's going to be some kind of additional transference and dependency build, then what you do is keep referring to the fact that, like you say to them, that's right, and you can process those suggestions I've just given, because you're the one that's doing all of this. Yes, I'm helping to facilitate today, but you'll find in the days and the weeks and the months to come, you'll do it all by yourself. You may find all of a sudden that you want to just stop, go inside, close your eyes if it's appropriate, and recall some of the things that we discussed while you were here in my office today. Because you'll find that every time you do, it has the exact same feeling all over again. The feeling like massive success has happened. Feeling like big breakthroughs have happened. And real motivation to keep this job and make it work for you. So you'll find that as you do that occasionally, you'll find that you become more and more reliant on yourself instead of others. And occasionally, once every couple of months, if you need to give me a call on the phone and say hi, you'll find that just saying hi to me recalls all the things I've done for you and makes you feel so good because you've done it. Yes, I was a catalyst. Yes, I helped. And I'll be happy to take credit for that. But you know what? Ultimately, you're the one that does it. And I want to really congratulate you for being so willing to make your life work. Thank you so much. You're the kind of person I love to deal with. You see what happens with those series of suggestions like that? It flips it all right back on them. Also, you're setting up suggestions and anchors for them to call and feel the effects of a session just by saying hi.
How about transferring that to another employee?
Oh, sure.
You should talk to Wes, because Wes is just going to be great.
Oh, well, and all you have to do is anchor it right when they're with you. So anchor, say, how do you feel right now? Oh, I feel really good. Yeah, you do, don't you? And now feel it increase. Oh, yeah. Now, by the way, hang on a second. Wes, come in here. Wes walks in the door. Boom. You think about Wes, I want you to feel those good feelings increase even further because he's the one that's going to manage your case. He's the one that you're going to call when you need some help, when you want to talk to someone. And he's the one that can really help you. So feel all these good feelings about Wes every time you see him or hear his voice. Great. All right. We'll have you talk to him soon now. So you do that kind of stuff. Like that?
Just a quick question about this. Do you want it usually going up to the hips, or like if their arms here, could you go down that way?
You could. It'd be fine as long as it's consistent.
Okay, so it's not.
I generally go up to increase and down to decrease. That's just a rule of thumb I use. I think it makes sort of logical sense. By the way, a quick note on anchoring, if I haven't said this to you guys before. Standardize all your anchors. So I was talking to a guy that studies with a friend of mine that on how to pick up women. He has that book on that. Have you heard me talk about that guy?
No.
Oh, it was in the last class I was. Ross Jeffries is his pen name. Wrote a book called How to Get the Women You Desire into Bed. And I apologize. Sorry, I know it's crass, but, deal with it.
There's no apology needed.
And that's right.
It grosses me out, too.
Oh, Randall, shut up. That grosses me out, Randall. Okay. So he wrote this book, and it's a filthy book, and it was written out of hostility years ago when he had this hostility. But in the meantime, where he got it from, in part, was doing some work with my home study course and then some personal study that he has done with me. And he's studied quite extensively at this point, and you'll hear it if you ever hear him speak, because he uses the language that I teach. And he's a very nice man, too, and he's really resolved a lot of the anger that he had inside himself about it. But when he uses these patterns, and I was starting to tell you about the patterns for a reason why. Huh?
Anchors.
Oh, anchors. One of the things that I taught him that was real important was, let's say that he's talking to 8 or 10 different women for the course of a week, okay, or more in his case. You don't run through that in a night. What he's doing is setting up different anchors, like, the anchor of, let's say, love or commitment or lust or, whatever it is that he happens to be, working on at the moment. And what he does is each of those anchors is exactly the same for each woman. All right, so let's say the anchor of love, okay? Let's say it's a touch on the back of the hand. Well, then every single woman that he elicits love from, he anchors in the exact same way. So down the road, if he forgets whether or not he's done it, all he has to do is reach out and fire the anchor, and if it works, fine. If it doesn't, he hasn't said it.
So
So even if he forgets their name, he's doing okay.
Because he still has, the anchors are all standardized.
So in other words, they're still the same.
Yeah. So standardize your anchors, which is a really good thing in therapy too. Like you can have your convinced anchor, and you can have your overcome any limitation anchor. You can have whatever you want, but just in general, try to systematize it as much as you can. And that'll make it so you're not always trying to remember. Well, let's see now. This client, where did I put that anchor? Which knuckle? Does that make sense? Okay, any questions about what we've done so far?
So did this Ralph Jeffries have this anger when he made those tapes?
No. No. No, those are really nice tapes. They're G-rated tapes. They're nothing X-rated about those tapes. A lot of anchors, but not a lot of anger. Yeah. And he's been on every major TV talk show except Oprah.
What's his name?
Ross Jeffers. Write it down so you'll know who to hate. Said to the women in the class, well, all the men are desperately anxious to go find his book. Well, except, my good friend here. Okay. Now, let's do fractionalization, and with fractionalization, I want to include ratification. Okay? Now, ratification in trance is a really neat thing to do. Again, this is straight out of Erickson's work. What Erickson would do is put someone into a trance and then tell them, in essence, that they went in there, that they're there. And he would do it by pointing out the physiological changes that had taken place as he was watching them. All right? So it makes it really convenient because all of a sudden the person goes, oh, well, I must be in a trance now. Wow. All right? So I'm going to demonstrate this technique to you first, but I think I'll do it on just one person instead of the whole group because I'd like a few of us with some brains left before the night's over so we can still communicate. So who have I not demonstrated on so far? Joe? Oh, I've demonstrated on you. John? Okay, well, come on up. Got two Johns sitting over there. You ready for this?
I think so.
Okay. You know what's going to happen?
Sorry.
What do you think's going to happen?
I'm going to trance.
Are you already there?
I'm getting there.
You are, aren't you? Did you know that it would happen that fast when you walked up?
Not really.
What was the first thing that you became aware of when you realized that you're starting to get there?
I started to become relaxed.
Mm-hmm. And do you know what comes next after that? Think your eyes want to close?
Probably so.
Yeah. Now, one of the things I can suggest is that if you recall a trance experience from today or from another time that you had that was really powerful, and you went really deep, I want you to remember what you were thinking like back then. Yeah. And I'd like you to start to think that way now, because as you do that easily, you'll begin to become aware of something else that you weren't thinking about, but that is very relevant. Now that might be something as simple as, it's nice to know you can go deeply into a trance quickly. Or it might be something else like, I wonder what kind of changes I'll be able to make that will be so beneficial it isn't even funny. And yet, your unconscious, John, really understands how to do this naturally. You understand the benefits of just relaxing and going even deeper. That's right. Very good. Now, since you first came up here, I've noticed a few changes. Your face coloration has changed, and the face in general has lost some muscle tone as it's just relaxed comfortably. Your breathing is slowed down and deepened a little. By experience, I know that means your blood pressure has become lower and your heart rate has slowed down. Which is actually quite easy to see as one looks at the collar of your shirt pulsing with the beat of your heart. You're probably aware of other internal changes changes in thoughts, changes in consciousness. And I don't know what else you're aware of that indicates to you that you're even deeper in trance now than before. And yet there's several things you could possibly become aware of now, isn't there? That's right. Very good. Excellent. Now each time you go into a trance, you can find yourself going deeper, quicker than before. And maybe you have a picture in your mind of me asking you to go into a trance now, and just instantly closing your eyes and slipping into that deep, natural, comfortable state. Yeah. Except even deeper, like maybe half again further. Yeah. Great. And as that happens, you find that your unconscious takes over strongly, beginning to do what's necessary to create some powerful results in your life. And until I ask you to go into a trance even deeper again, I'd like you to go ahead and begin to reorient your consciousness back to full waking consciousness, taking the next 60 seconds or so of clock time, during which you can take all the time in the world to reorient and bring yourself all the way back. So that you're rejoining us here and can look out and look at all the smiling faces, all supporting you, each and every one, of getting the kind of changes you want. The kind of confidence that will really lead you towards the success you're looking for. So come on back. How you doing? Good. I bet you are. Now, how did I induce trance? Okay, so one of the ways I did it, I combined a bunch of them this time, okay? One of the ways I did it is I just asked him to remember a previous trance experience. That alone will induce trance. What else did I do? Right from the instant I started.
You hit the table like you do it every time somebody goes up there.
Oh. Well, that must be a good anchor. Then I don't quite know what I'm doing with that, but I'm not conscious of it.
You asked him if he knew what was going to happen.
Yes. What's the presupposition?
Something's going to happen.
And then do you know what? Yeah. What? I'm going to go into a trance. That's right. And then have you already started?
Yeah.
How do you answer that? Because at that point, to answer the question, he has to start. And what were you first aware of that let you know that was happening? All the questions are designed to drive him right straight in. There's no way to get around it. Okay? Pretty slick. So just trance through presupposition, in essence. I presupposed that's where he was going to go, and he did. What do you think the next thing is going to happen is? Think you're going to have to close your eyes? Yep. Okay? And out he went, real big time. All right? Now, how did you feel?
I could tell I was a lot more relaxed than I had been previously in trance. I could feel my neck going. Every suggestion you made intensify the relaxation.
Mm-hmm.
Just kept on going deeper and deeper.
Good. Great.
Now, I didn't notice that you were bringing him up. You were just kind of going down and then like staying there for a while, and then is that what fractionalization is?
We ain't quite there yet. We've just done one repetition, one example. That's good. You're paying attention.
You said something right before you said to come back.
Yeah, he said before I do you again. Yeah.
To what?
Right before you go. You said something like right before you go.
Before you put him back down, you're going to bring him up.
Deeper trance than what you did before, and we're going to come back out. And that's
Huh?
You said something
Yeah.
about him developing an even deeper trance.
Before you go into a deeper trance.
You were going to bring him up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, really smooth.
Well, yeah, which will be the next one.
Yeah, and is that what you just
And it could have been also this one, which means he could have done it both. He could do it both ways. Yeah, it could be very ambiguous. Anybody have any questions for him real quick? She shows up finally and wants to know where everyone else has been grilled all the day long. That's good. I'm glad you asked. Go ahead.
Half awake right now.
Did you feel like you could come pretty well?
More so than before, yes.
So how would you like to have even more of that?
Sure.
So close your eyes and go into a deeper trance than before. And as you do that right now, allow that relaxation to just begin to spread just like before. There you go. And as you slide on down, imagine that you're going past any previous limitation, and that this time you're able to go all the way to where there is no consciousness. And as you do that comfortably, I want you to start to begin a process of looking in a crystal ball in your mind. A crystal ball that shows you in a very deep trance, looking inside of another crystal ball in even a deeper trance still, looking inside of another crystal ball in the most profound trance possible, looking in another crystal ball and seeing enormous potential for your future. And as you see those scenes unfolding, notice that each person inside each of the crystal balls is going 10 times deeper, 10 times faster. And of course, that causes you to beat all of them into the deepest level possible. And now as you wander inside yourself, just become interested, if you will, in how deep it's possible to go. How far can you go? And I'd like you just to imagine that it's growing darker and you're beginning to float, because really you're nothing but a sea of consciousness. And as consciousness is enveloped by everything around you, notice that it frees the unconscious mind to work like a smooth machine. And I'm wondering if you understand the workings of machines. That's right. Because machines have interesting things that they do. If each part doesn't work in harmony with the other, then the whole machine doesn't work. And you know about one part sabotaging another. And I think it's important to go find that saboteur and teach him a real lesson. So as you go inside and find that part now that's been getting in the way of the other successes, I want you to simply pull that part out and thrust it into the location in your mind of something that's no longer true but used to be. That might be something like you're no longer in high school, but you used to be. And as that part goes in right there, you notice the entire machine starting to function more efficiently. It can even be emotional when that happens. That's right. And now we're going to build what we're going to put back into the machine that will forever ensure its security and its proper operation. As you build that now, let the unconscious just present it as something that is already done and created for you. And when it's ready, zoom it back where that old malfunctioning part came from. And notice how it's like giving a car a tune-up. It just purrs. It's perfect. Excellent. Feels good, doesn't it? Yeah. And I'd like you to imagine a time in your life when you felt extreme confidence. Some one time maybe that you just felt really confident about who you are or what you're doing. Excellent. Now build that intensity. Feel that confidence stronger and stronger. Feel it increase even more. And more confident still. Excellent. Now I want you to go out and think about the job you're doing right now. And as you do, take that confidence with you and increase it. so that it's there for you whenever you need it at the job. And it's stronger every day that goes by. Great. Excellent. Boy, does that feel good. Yeah. All right. I'd like you just to continue to go even deeper now while I address the rest of the group. You could just ignore what I'm saying and pay attention to your own internal thoughts. And when I turn and address you, you'll know it. Continue to go deeper now as I talk. That's a pretty good example of altered states. You're seeing some real emotional content, but within control. And you're also seeing real deep trance. That's pretty profound. Anything that you are interested in understanding more about what I'm doing? Everyone's nodding yes, but no mouths are opening.
Metaphor reframing.
I don't know where that came from. That just popped into my head. We'll find out if it has much relevance later.